As the year comes to an end, it is important for us to start preparing and planning towards the upcoming year, which is about to be birthed. And if relocating to Canada is what you would like to achieve next year, then it is important for you to watch this video, because in this video I'm going to be telling you all the possible routes, or maybe not all, like 95% of the possible routes through which you can immigrate to Canada and live and work in Canada. So watch this video until the end. Hi guys, my name is Deb and you're welcome to my channel. If you're seeing me for the first time, welcome, and welcome to my subscribers. On this channel I talk about everything study, scholarship, immigration, career growth, nursing, licensing, and the rest of them in all parts of the world. So if all these topics are topics that you will be interested in, please consider subscribing to this channel and don't forget to hit on the bell notification so you can be notified each time I upload a new video. So guys, when it comes to Canada immigration, there are lots of pathways through which you can move to Canada and live and work in Canada. For the sake of easy understanding, I'm just going to divide this into the temporary route and the permanent route. So the temporary route leading to permanent residency or PR, and then the direct permanent residency route. So first of all, I'm just going to talk about some of the temporary routes. So one of the most popular and easy routes to move to Canada is the study route. So what does a study route simply means? It means getting admitted into an accredited Canadian university and then getting a visa to study in Canada, moving to Canada to study. After studying, you apply for a post-study work visa or a post-graduation work visa. You work for the number of years given to you based on your duration of studies in Canada, and then from getting a post-study work visa or post-graduation work visa, you can now apply for a permanent residence through the Canadian experience route. The downside of this route is that it is very expensive. Like if you're coming from abroad and you have to study as an international student in Canada, these fees are so exorbitant, very expensive. You have to pay very expensive school fees to go through this route. However, if you can afford this route, this is a very good route for you to move into Canada by next year. And then for the study route, I must emphasize, for you to qualify to apply for a permanent residence after your studies, you have to be careful to abide by the conditions that surround your study visa. For example, when it comes to work restrictions, work hour restrictions, working in campus and off campus, you just have to be very careful to abide by all the conditions associated with your study visa so you can be eligible to apply for a post-study route visa. Don't go and start doing sharp guy or sharp lady or whatever and miss out on your big opportunity in the future. All right, the second temporary way through which you can move into Canada is to get a job in Canada from wherever you are, and that is very possible to get a job in Canada from wherever you are. And then you can apply for the temporary foreign worker program. That is if you need an LMIA, that is the labor market impact assessment. What this means is that the person who employs you or the company who employs you has looked through the whole of Canada and couldn't find any suitable person to occupy that position in Canada, and they can do this through advertising the jobs on different job sites, and nobody comes or no suitable individual comes for the job. They can employ you from overseas to fill up that position, and they will have to prove to the Canadian government that they couldn't find anyone to fill up that position. That's not your own part to play. Your part is just to get the job offer, and then your company, who is also eligible to do that, will apply for the visa for you. Another pathway is the international mobility program. This is just like an intra-company transfer. For example, you're working with a company back home in your home country, and then they open a branch in Canada and they transfer you from where you're working to Canada. In this pathway, you don't need LMIA, that is a labor market impact assessment, for you to move to Canada to work if you're transferred. Again, if your country has a trade agreement with Canada, you can move to Canada to work by your country and Canada's country trade agreements. And Another pathway is the global talent stream, and this is for people who are highly skilled in some specific areas. These individuals can get a job with a high-growing or fast-growing Canadian company who is going to apply for their visa and then bring them into Canada to work in those highly skilled professions. And this pathway is mostly for people in technology, anything tech. These are the people this pathway favors more, and some other some other very highly skilled individuals. Another pathway to move to Canada is the visitor visa pathway. It is not an immigration route per se, but I'm just going to show you something. So here am I on the Canadian government website, and what you can see here with me is that visitors can continue to apply for work permits inside Canada with temporary policy extended by 2 years. So visitors in Canada, if you're visiting Canada on a visit visa, you can apply for a permanent residency through the temporary pathway, and this temporary pathway was supposed to expire or to come to an end on 28th of February this year, 2023, but they've extended it by 2 years until 28th February 2025. So what does this mean? Foreign nationals who are in Canada as visitors who receive a valid job offer will continue to be able to apply for and receive a work permit without having to leave the country. And most employers, like if you're back home and you're applying for jobs, most employers would want to see you one-on-one, face-to-face, see who they are interviewing, who they want to employ before they give employment. So if you're able to get a visit visa to go to Canada, this is an opportunity for you to explore and see if you can get a job offer. But remember that you're not eligible to work in Canada with a visitor visa. It is illegal to enter into the Canadian job market and work legally in Canada with a visit visa, so you cannot work. Just bear that in mind. So if you're going to Canada on a visit visa, you have to have all the resources to support yourself while in Canada. This is just the same thing like in Dubai. If you're applying for a job offer from your home country in Dubai, you can hardly even find a job right now except you go to Dubai with a visit visa, and then you'll be able to get a job and convert from a visit visa to a residence permit to live and work in Dubai legally. We've also got the business programs, which leads to permanent residency as well. We have the self-employed programs. These are for people who are highly skilled in self-employment. They've employed themselves and they can sponsor themselves, as in employ themselves in Canada, wouldn't need to look for a job. Rather, they can create their own job, employ themselves, and maybe employ others and be able to contribute to the culture, to the art and athletic aspect of Canada, and to the overall economy of Canada. So these are the people that this self-employed program or route is for. We also have the startup visa program. This startup visa route is for people who have business ideas. They either have a business or they have a business idea, and they are able to find a sponsor, someone who is going to sponsor that business idea to bring it to reality in Canada. If they're able to get a valid sponsor in Canada who will sponsor that vision, that business idea they have, they can get a visa to move into Canada, I mean to say, work with that company, grow that business, and they can become permanent residents in Canada. If you're applying through this route, you must also have the funds to sustain yourself in Canada as a proof of fund to be eligible for this route. And the good thing is that before or by the year 2025, Canada is expecting to offer visas to about 6,000 people in this job category. So guys, if you have a very perfect business idea and you think money is the problem, money is the reason why you've not been able to bring that business idea into actualization, why not try looking for a way to put that business idea together and see how to get to these top companies that can sponsor your top sponsors in Canada, get them to present your business proposal to them and see if they will be able to buy into that business idea and sponsor you. That can take you to Canada. So wherever you are, if you've got that very good business idea and you believe in it, start moving, start working. You never can tell. Or if you already have a business and you want to expand to Canada, you can look for sponsors and they'll be able to sponsor you. Qualified sponsors, I mean to say, who will be able to sponsor you. And then for the more specific permanent routes, we talk about the family visa route or the family route. Number one example of the family route is for you to fall in love and get married to a Canadian citizen. So remember what I said, fall in love, not getting married because of passport or because of citizenship or because of anything and then getting divorced later on. So fall in love genuinely and get married to a Canadian citizen, and then you can become you can immigrate to Canada to live as a permanent resident, which leads to Canadian citizenship as well. And as an individual who is a Canadian resident, you can also sponsor your family or your relations to become Canadian citizens. When I mean family, I mean your spouse and children to become Canadian residents. I mean to say children not less than 22 years of age. For your child over 22 years of age to be eligible to be sponsored by you as to become a Canadian resident, they must meet certain criteria. And then again, as an individual, you can sponsor your parents or your grandparents to relocate to Canada to live with you as Canadian residents. Another eligibility for this family pathway is adopted children. Canada has a different stream for adopted children anyway, but if you are able to get adopted by a Canadian resident or a Canadian citizen, then they can apply for you to be a Canadian resident through the Canada adoption route. It's a different route altogether. And then on this permanent route, the last of which I would like to talk about is the Canadian Express Entry route. Yes, Canadian Express Entry route. This is for me the easiest and the less hassle pathway to move to Canada as a permanent resident. The Canada Express Entry route is divided into three, and one of which is the Federal Skilled Worker Program. The Federal Skilled Worker Program is for people who are applying from abroad, applying internationally. You don't live in Canada, you've never worked in Canada, you've never lived in Canada, you're applying from abroad. So this route is for those people, Federal Skilled Worker route. And secondly, we have the Canadian Experience class. This pathway are for people who have lived in Canada before, worked in Canada, gained Canadian experience, just like the students that apply for post-graduation work experience. So with that work experience, they can apply, they are qualified to apply for this Canadian Experience class route for permanent residents. And thirdly, we have the Federal Skilled Trades Program, the Federal Skilled Trades route or Federal Skilled Trades Program. These are for people who are skilled in some specific trades. If you're skilled in some specific trade, like people in transportation, in agriculture, in manufacturing, and more trades that are eligible for this route. So these individuals can directly apply for a Canadian permanent residence through the Express Entry route. And of course, we have the Canadian Provincial Nomination Programs, which is operated by different provinces and their own criteria and so. And we also have the refugee route if you qualify to apply for the refugee route, and some other routes to immigrate to Canada. So guys, these are some of the ways through which you can immigrate to Canada to live and work or to do whatever you want to do legally as an individual. I believe by now you guys must have had an idea of what the Canadian immigration programs look like or what they are and how we can move to Canada legally as an individual. In my next video, I'm going to be telling you all about the Canadian Express Entry, more specifically the Federal Skilled Worker Program, which I know majority of us qualify for. So watch out for my next video. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please hit on the subscribe button right now and click on the bell notification. And don't forget to share this video to anyone you think this information is going to benefit. So until I see you next time, enjoy the rest of your day and take good care of yourself. Bye.